So we're going to talk about burnout. We're going to talk about the creative burnout. Yes, it is a real thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but as a creative business, as a creative entrepreneur, we have to be creative to stay in business. That's just it. We're creativepreneurs, right? So if you're not creative, you don't make money. And the problem with creatives is that we need time to focus. We need time to regenerate. We need time to be creative. And we have to put ourselves in a creative environment. And sometimes all the stuff, all the business stuff, all the things that we have to do to run our business gets in the way, and it causes this block. I thought we would start a 3-part series. I want to start this morning. And if you know anybody that would benefit from this, please tell your friends. Let other creatives know if you have any creativepreneurs in business that would benefit from this. I think it would be really good and helpful. I'm sharing my experiences with you, so hopefully you will see the signs and symptoms before they hit you, and then you can find a way to turn it around. Turn it around in your business, because as a creative, if we don't create, we don't make money, right? So symptoms of burnout with a creative entrepreneur. We're going to talk about that this morning. And then we're going to go in next week, we're going to talk about causes of burnout. And then on the 3rd week, we're going to talk about dealing with the creative burnout and how to survive it, because you totally can. I've been through burnout probably twice in my business, and this month I was pretty close to, and I want to share that with you too. It's probably one of the reasons I look like this, other than my grandkids are here this weekend too. Okay, so the creative process is a little different for everybody. It's not the same. Everybody's a little different. We do things differently. I know I tend to like to get by myself when I'm creative. Some people put on music. Some people need to be in a certain area. You know, everybody's different. But usually when you're getting close to burnout, there's a few telltale signs, and you kind of know that. So feeling like you have no ideas or inspirations, that's the number one thing. Have anybody ever felt this? Feel like you're lacking those ideas and those inspirations that normally just come to you? Because as creatives, don't we just have all the ideas? Don't we just have 1,000,001 ideas, and our struggle is how to implement them all or how to choose one? That's typically not a problem for a creative. But there are times when we can't put all of these together. And let's be honest, we all go through spells. We all go through spells of like this. And I'm not talking about the norm from day to day. You know, sometimes you'll be creating, like if I'm in the studio and I'm painting, and then I'm worried about maybe writing an email or answering a phone call or something. I can't focus. That's different. That's not burnout. That is not burnout at all. That is just, you need to really focus on what you're doing. So, you know, there are days, and sometimes it's just hours block. You know, sometimes it's you need to get up from whatever you're doing. And creative doesn't have to be just painting. There's people who are writers out there. There are bloggers. There are all types of creativity out there, not just furniture painting, sign makers, all the people that are creative in using their hands. So pay attention to these signs. And it's usually more of a stretch of days or weeks, or sometimes it turns into a month. That is the timing that you need to be aware of. It's not just an hour that you need to be creative and you walk off and get a snack and come back and now everything is flowing again. We're talking about days, weeks that you just can't seem to get it together, or you don't want to. And the next symptom is that you just can't seem to get in the flow. You just can't, it doesn't come out. Like I said, we all have these endless ideas and creativities in our head. And typically when I walk up to a piece of furniture, I'll walk over to my paint or all the supplies that I have laying out, because I am one of the creatives, and I don't know if you like this, I like things to be seen and visual. I'm a very visual person. So I like to be able to look and see what I'm going to choose and use to do my creations. And sometimes that will give me inspiration. But when you just can't get in the flow, most of the times I do get in the zone. You know, most of the time I can get in the zone, and you know what I mean by the zone, where you just you're in your creative mode and everything is just flowing and you're creating and you're happy. Maybe you're singing, or I like to listen to podcasts and different things. I'm one of those multitaskers, or maybe it's more my ADD that needs to be fed. I need to hear some noise in the background so that I can continue to create, because it distracts my mind from everything else. It's weird. Our processes are just totally weird, but I think you understand what I'm talking about, because there's a lot of you like that who need that noise in that background. You need the radio, or you need somebody talking, and then you can just kind of zone out. Usually when you get into a creative block, usually walking away from it helps. Just get up and walk away. If it's just not flowing, your creative process, and we've all talked about the creative process before, where you start it and you're thinking, oh man, it's great, and then you get to it and you're like, I'm not sure about this. And then you get to the third step and you're like, this is just crap. It's total crap. When you get to that point, you need to walk away. Walk away. Take a break, get a snack, put it in the corner for a day if you have to, come back to it, and then actually go back to it. And then you're like, okay, it's good. And then at the end, you're like, it is the best project I've ever done. That's the creative process I'm talking about. So usually just walking away and coming back will get to that point. And it's only when you can't find the groove that you're going to a burnout. It's not, like I said, it's not just the occasional, I'm just not feeling it today, I need to refocus. Okay. And then we'll go to the next one. You can't shake your self-doubt. This is another symptom of creative burnout, when you just can't shake that self-doubt. And you know what I'm talking about. I think all of us have been there at some point in time where you're doubting your abilities. And it's the craziest thing ever. I've been painting furniture professionally for 7 years, online, painted way before then. I know my abilities and what I can do, and you know yours too, because you've been doing it a long time. Or maybe you just started, but you're really good at it. And you know, if you have like this little niche, you know that if you have what it takes to do it in the business. But when you can't shake that self-doubt and you are doubting yourself constantly, that is also a part of burnout, especially when you've done it before and everything's good and you're doing great, and all of a sudden you're like plummeted. You're like, this is crap. I can't do it anymore. Why do I even think I can do that? That is a part of burnout. So be aware of this symptom. Another symptom of burnout is when you tend to look for other things to do other than create. This is huge. This was huge for me. When it's time to create, usually I am the first out the door, and I'm running to get to the studio, because I'm like, this is my time. This is when I want to paint. This is my therapy. And you all know what I'm talking about, because if you love furniture painting or you love doing that creative thing, it is your therapy. It is your getaway. It's your getaway. So you can't wait to get there, right? When you start finding other things to do and you dread being creative, you dread painting that piece of furniture, and you know what I'm talking about. That's sad. That is a really sad time in a creator's life, is when they dread doing what they love the most. It's almost like depression, but it's a burnout. And depression may be a part of that too. Maybe you're depressed about the business is not making enough money, and maybe all things are just not coming together. Maybe there's a lot of self-doubt up here, a lot of lack of business mindset. That too can cause a creative burnout. So I came on this morning to let you know that it's important to recognize these symptoms so that you can combat those, because you totally can. It's just understanding. It's a lot like being sick. If you know you got a cough and you're cold and you're sneezing, you know you got a cold, therefore you know you need to take vitamin C, right? So it's just knowing the creative process, knowing that these are symptoms, and then you can work on these to get back to where you need to be. The important thing is to pay attention to how long these symptoms last, not just that they happen, but how long they last. Again, if we're talking about days and it goes into weeks and we're talking about a month, you're in creative burnout and you need to do something about that. Which brings me to next week's subject, and we're going to talk about it next week. We're going to talk about the causes of burnout, because I think it's very important, because sometimes it's not just the burnout, sometimes it's the causes of burnout. And if you know the causes of burnout, then you can actually find ways to dealing with it, and that is super important. So if you have a creative friend, someone that is in the business And even if you think they're not struggling with this, you might be surprised. You might be surprised, because I think every single one of creatives actually struggle in this area. These are the symptoms of burnout. And I will be back next Saturday at 8 a.m. and we're going to go further into this series, because I think this is really important. If you have any questions about business, or you want to be in a creative business coaching group, the Creative Makers Tribe is accepting new members. I would love to talk to you about that. I will drop a link in here too if you're interested in joining. We deal with all of these things inside the group. This is a thing that all of us business people need. We need to understand. And it's not just about tools implementing into your business, but it's the business mindset and all of the things that can cause us to keep from propelling to the next level in our business. So y'all have a super week, and I will see you next week, 8 a.m. Saturday morning coffee chat. Much love. Bye, guys.